Pledge of allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can I have a roll call for the meeting?
Don Shipley.
Yep.
Chad Conroy. Yes. Scott Brandon.
Let's take a look at the minutes from last month, see if there's any additions or corrections. I make a motion that we accept the minutes from last month.
I'll second.
All in favor? Take a look at the treasurer's report. I make a motion that we accept the treasurer's report.
Second.
At this time, we're going to turn it over to Mr. Briechle. He's got some updates on everything for the incinerator.
Couple things. Everybody hear me okay?
No.
Louder? Is that better? Okay. After last month's meeting, and at that time, not everybody was here, I'm sure, but we went over a bunch of things that had occurred previous to that meeting. I think they're somewhat reflected in the videos that are posted online, so I'm not going to go through that. After that meeting, as I indicated to the people here, I have been attempting to contact Chief Counsel for DEP, and I received a call and spoke to an attorney, Sean Robbins, who is with the Office of General Counsel, or Chief Counsel, excuse me, and that happened around, I believe, on August 24th, 2016. He indicated that we had discussed the issue, and I informed him as to what the issues were, that he was fully aware of what was going on here in Milford Township, and we had spoken about the township's consideration of an ordinance which may place stricter limits on within an air quality ordinance, and he had some concerns, and we went back and forth about those issues. There were no decisions made, there were no, in any way, shape, or form, true information exchanged about the nature of an ordinance or what the ordinance would look like, but he had expressed some issues that DEP may have. I asked him whether or not he would be amenable to a meeting where DEP officials would sit down with township officials and maybe some representatives of residents or groups that might be concerned about the construction of the incinerator. He said he would get back to me because he needed to speak to the individuals within the department to see if they would be interested in doing so. I hadn't received a return call. I did place a call earlier this week, and I'm yet to hear from him, so I'll follow up again after today's meeting. Since last meeting, we also received an email from Mr. Ewald where he provided a quote from the organization out of Virginia that does some work within the environmental field that we're talking about, and he he offered that they may be of assistance in setting these limits for a potential ordinance. I had a conversation along with two attorneys from Siemens Eckert with the principal of that organization. It was somewhat timely because there was a press release rather, that came out from Tyler Corners just recently, so it provided some additional information. We are scheduled to speak again tomorrow based upon his need to go back and reassess some of the issues that he was not aware of prior to our conversation and prior to Tyler Corners' press release. We've also spoken to a firm, an engineering firm, maybe a consulting firm is a better way of saying it, here in Pennsylvania that has some significant experience with air quality ordinances, representing townships and engaging in permit writing for entities. So we had a good conversation with them. There's some interesting ideas that they're exploring about what can be put into a ordinance for the township. So there's been some really technical discussions that occurred between our attorneys and those consultants. Mr. Ewald had sent me an email just recently, and he had found out that last meeting I was provided with information from Peters Township that 2 cases were filed after a ordinance was enacted there, but I believe there may have been a mistake from the information that was provided to us that those 2 lawsuits came in before the ordinance and may not have had any bearing on that ordinance. So Mr. Ewald asked that I would just mention that he believes that might not be the situation as reported in the last township meeting. He's not here today, I don't think he couldn't make it, so I told him that I would express that at tonight's meeting. We received a resolution from Oakland Township Board of Supervisors, and it goes through 2 pages. I won't read it. Anybody can come up and take a look at it. But I will read after the findings of that township. The resolution indicated that they were now resolving as the Board of Supervisors September 13, 2016, that they adopted this resolution urging the supervisors of New Milford Township and Susquehanna County Commissioners to adopt a Clean Air Ordinance setting forth requirements for a new waste burning facility to use continuous emissions monitoring for releases of toxic and other chemical pollutants to the air, requiring real-time online disclosure of such emissions data and setting the strictest possible emissions limits to protect our region's air quality and the health of our region's people. That was the correspondence we received on this issue. And then I assume a lot of people may have already seen the Tyler Corners press release. I don't know if anybody needs me to read that into the record, but that is just saying that we would put it in the record as part of this discussion. That's my update. Tony Barone.
I'll pass.
Okay. Jacqueline Goff.
Not at this time.
Rich Rapp. Does that, would you like to make a comment? No, okay. I'm not sure about the first name, but Hines. Ellen was not.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
You mentioned you were consulting with a group, Pennsylvania Environmental Engineers?
It's a consulting group.
Consulting group? What was their name?
Liberty Engineers.
Liberty Engineers. Thank you.
Liberty Engineers Consulting.
Thank you.
And how about, have they closed on the deal? Do they know anything?
Do you, and real quick, it said on here, the 114 acre, do you know anything? Have they closed on that land deal yet? Does anybody know?
I have no information on
No, nobody knows.
The question was whether or not Tyler Corners has closed or purchased the 114 acre parcel, and the answer was
Any other
that we
questions
don't have
on
that information about whether they have or not.
They're going to do, what about the DEP meeting? What can they explain happened?
Sue Pipitone?
I appreciate all the work that you've been doing and looking into having the Clean Air Ordinance put in place and meeting the DEP. But I think my question is, you've been talking about this since May or June. It's now September. Has the board decided to go forward with doing an air ordinance if they get the legality set up correctly, or are you still undecided? And do you have any idea how long it will take from this point on? Obviously, Tyler Corners is continuing with their plans, and we were ahead of the game, say, May or June. Now I'm not so sure where we are with that, so
The Board of Supervisors have asked me to, with the assistance of Siemens Hacker, to draft an ordinance. The intricacies of the ordinance are significant.
how so?
I think I heard from an expert recently that DEP's regulations or modeling for this type of situation or these type of permits required a $1 million investment just to get the regulations written. And so what we have to do as a township is to work through not only DEP regulations, but EPA standards. So we're dealing both on the federal and state levels. I don't know if you can say that we were ahead of the game in May. I think we are far more ahead of the game now than we were in May. In a sense of, from my perspective as an attorney, being directed to work through all of these issues. Now, I can't tell you because it's attorney-client privilege and what we call work product, but I've been on the phone and speaking to multiple individuals over and over again, and it is exceedingly clear to me how complicated this area is. I mean, there are just lawyers doing nothing with this 24/7 in their practice, and it's a very sophisticated area. Now, the fact that we are at the level of talking with technical experts about how to work through these issues is, I think, a significant leap forward. I don't think you should expect to have a time limit placed on it, because as we get past the first level of discussion, it opens up a whole new question as to other issues that we have to deal with. And then we have to deal with not only how the ordinance is going to be created, but also how it then relates to other agencies that we look forward. And that's a major issue. That's why, some discussion with DEP is going to be, I think, pretty relevant.
Right, but we are on timeline, because once this company invests a tremendous amount of money in engineering plans, purchasing the property, they're not going to back down, right? So we are, in a sense, in the timeline. And I understand going to DEP to understand what their regulations are and what their guidelines are. But as a township, legally, we do have the right to make a clean air ordinance that is much higher than DEP, correct?
The statute specifically states that we cannot have a regulation that has limits less strict.
Okay, so we do have the right to make it more strict.
Right, that's the understanding that we're playing with right now.
So by using these guidelines, you know where they're at. So how difficult would it be to take their guidelines bump it up and put it into the air ordinance for us in this county.
Right. So I naively expected the exact same analysis, and it doesn't work that way, is from what the experts are indicating. And I'm going to do probably a poor job of trying to explain this tonight, because we're still working through those issues. But it's not a matter of just setting a level. So it's not a matter of just saying, thou shalt not have this level of emissions greater than this level of emissions. The way DEP does it, and the way the federal government seems to with its oversight, it's a modeling. And there's a lot of models that go into the analysis of whether or not a certain permit should have certain parameters. And that was confirmed by not only the Liberty Consulting Group, but also the Virginia group that we talked to about what Mr. Ewald had suggested. So it's not hey, you can't go beyond this point. It's far greater, much more complex. And in fact, if we're going to do the ordinance correctly, we have to consider all of that, because the ordinance has to withstand scrutiny. And interestingly enough, I think that on a very basic level, the consultants that were recommended to us by Mr. Ewald, and then also, the ones that we've dealt with and the groups have dealt with in the past, are basically on that same theory. It's the nuances that need to be kind of worked out. So it's not any worse off than we were in May. In fact, I think we're far better off than we were. So we're plugging forward, and the goal is to have a working document in the next few weeks. No, a working document in the next few weeks. If you're a lawyer, you know a working document means it probably will go through 100 revisions by the time it's actually brought forth. It's just the way it happens.
I'd just like to ask something, please.
Ma'am, are you a township resident?
No.
Okay. Power taxpayer? I can't.
Jackson,
The rules
no.
are,
Just for the whole area?
no, I'm sorry. Susan LaFave.
I was just wondering, with Tyler Corners, have they applied or are they in the process of starting to apply for permits?
Well, I can only tell you what the news release indicated, and that was that they met with DEP on September 14th for the first step toward a possible siting of the industrial waste facility. That's all that we know right now.
All right, after this ordinance is made and if these Tyler Corner people have started their incinerator building it, and the Clean Air Ordinance is passed after they start building it, do they have to honor our Clean Air Ordinance after the deal is made?
That's a legal question which I won't be able to answer for you tonight.
So if we don't get our ordinance made before or put into place before this construction starts, then we even do that.
That's a legal question that I cannot answer. What's your name, ma'am?
Hi, Donna Lynn.
Okay, thank you.
Just to catch me up, is this a done deal? The incinerator is being built, so we're talking ordinances. Is this over? It's coming through the end?
All I can tell you is I don't represent Township, so I have no idea what they're doing other than what is in this document. My understanding is that as the permit process continues, if that's what they're going to do, and that they have not formally submitted anything. This is a pre-permit meeting that they had with DEP. That doesn't mean they submitted anything formally. But once the formal process, if it does begin, will provide us, the township, with notice of that process. So we have not received anything yet.
What's the formal process to say we don't want it, and then have the ordinance and clarify how we want the emissions to be after that? There has to be a step where we say no, if that's the position.
Yeah, right. Jack's correct. There's a public hearing process, but that's part of the permitting process, and that's different than what we're considering in terms of an ordinance.
Couldn't they get it from that? There it is.
There's no permit that I'm aware of.
I do have a question now. Do they have to own the property in order to submit a permit to DEP?
I don't know the answer to that
They
question.
don't have to- Okay, I'll call tomorrow and find out.
If you do find out.
I will.
Yes, ma'am, your name?
Ruth Ralston,
I'm sorry, I understand you're outside, I was running it down. Now, we'll go for record. Is it
According to the address is not in Texas.
It says that you're not in the tax rules, I'm not.
Excuse me.
Is that true?
What is the specific firm in West Virginia that is doing the research?
It's in Virginia. It's in Virginia.
Yeah,
And
that you
it
mentioned.
is environmental, I'm sorry, just bear with me one second. The gentleman that's in, that seems to be the principal is a person by the name of Peter DeFur, D-E-F-U-R.
Is this an independent study?
This is a group that Attorney Michael Ewald asked that we look at to retain as consultants.
And exactly who is he working for? The township or the company?
No one has been engaged.
Can you repeat the question, please?
He just wanted to know who the Virginia firm was that we were talking with the other day.
So what is the name? I didn't get the name yet.
ECS, I believe, and I'm sorry, I don't have the initials for it, but Mr. Ewald has it, he's provided it to us, so you should have it. Any other residents, maybe a resident or a taxpayer?
492,
Okay.
yes, I
Okay.
Okay. You're representing him?
Who?
You're representing Tyler?
No,
No,
I'm representing
he's
the
the
township.
township.
I thought that's what I heard you say.
No, I represent I'm the solicitor of the township.
Do they care at all that we don't want it here?
I am not them, I don't know.
No.
We don't want it here, and it's not just a matter of that building, it's also the trucks that are carrying that stuff in. If there is a toxic spill, that's going to do a lot of damage.
Right.
And, our roads aren't exactly the best up here. There's potholes, there's all kinds of things. We just had a major accident up in Binghamton. And if it's toxic, it's all over.
Right. Exactly. What are the ramifications of them doing damage?
Like, exactly.
Consulting with Mike Ewald, and he's consulting with a firm that is doing research on the environment and how to get this Clean Air Ordinance. And there's a bill involved of about $2,000, and we were wondering if the supervisor of the town of New Milford is going to be responsible for that bill.
Well, Mike Ewald apparently was engaged by a group of individuals that were concerned about the incinerator. That he's an attorney, so he came to the township with his concerns on behalf of those individuals. We obviously took what he said and discussed it with him, and he suggested this firm in Virginia, and we had a conversation with the principal of that firm and another individual, and we're determining whether or not to engage them. So we have a couple firms that we're looking at. And that would be part of the process. The $2,000 invoice, I think, estimate is going to potentially change after the conversation we recently had.
So whatever their bill is, you would be responsible.
No, we haven't engaged them. We haven't hired them. We've talked.
If you engage them and you accept them as representative.
Well, I guess they would want to be paid. Yeah, so I mean.
So then you would take the responsibility.
Now, are you talking, Jack thinks that you're talking about Mr. Ewald. Or are you talking about the group, the firm, the consulting group? We're looking into whether or not they will be engaged.
Okay, when did you know?
Well, he's getting back,
Right here.
Hang on.
he's getting back to us on some other issues that,
I think I'm Mr. Ewell, and he's ready to go forward with this consultant.
what's that?
Mr. Ewell is ready to go forward, he has everything ready to move ahead with the ordinance and with his firm in Virginia.
Mr. Ewell has provided us with the ordinance. We've vetted, we've gone over it 100 times.
But I'm talking about the firm in Virginia, the consultant.
Can we get a copy
I
of the
talked-
ordinance from
I
him, if
talked-
you can use?
They're ready to go forward,
No, they're not.
no?
No. Because we were in a conversation just recently where more information came out. He's going to call me tomorrow and come back with additional information. So he's not, neither are they ready to proceed with us or nor are we ready to proceed with them.
As a resident too, I find it really awkward that the people, the taxpayers, our community have to hire a lawyer to do your job. You don't want an incinerator, put up for a vote.
Yeah.
Say yes or no.
Yeah,
You will
exactly.
have an opportunity at the time that the public meetings are involved with the permitting process. That's something you have a right to do if you wish to. If you're
Not
looking
a
at the
referendum
ordinance,
to
it's
vote.
different.
Okay.
What, how long do you think that would be?
Your opinion?
For this, that's,
Okay, I just gotta make sure that we know. Okay, what's,
So what she just said, you said there would be a meeting, you could vote. When,
Well-
are we talking?
no, you
years?
said, no, hold on.
What did you say about?
Just vote whether or not you want this.
Whether we want it or not.
Incinerator, right. Why don't you want saying the whole process?
Well, the thing is, it doesn't just affect the middle. When you look at the map, and it's in 50 miles, we're talking people way in New York, we're talking way down in Scranton. This is a wide area.
We absolutely understand that.
And what bothers me is I've only been here 11 years, and I came from Philadelphia, but during the Civil War, you had a population here of about 40,000 people. What you have now is close to that. And I think everybody here doesn't want it, but what we have, we're still the same population as the Civil War. We're going to take all this industrial waste from New York, Philadelphia, New Jersey, and bring it here where
Or
we don't want
disposing.
it. That's why we're here. We have a
We understand
community that hasn't changed since the Civil War.
Yeah.
And we don't want it, and we want to know what we can do to stop
Well-
bringing sense.
I don't know if have you been here at the other meetings?
This is the first one.
Okay, I think that's the problem, is you haven't been here at the other meetings.
Well, I have personal issues, I should.
Let me just address your question. In the other meetings, there was a hostility against the township, which we can't understand. We are going through the process of engaging in doing an ordinance. Laws don't pop up overnight typically.
Right.
So that's the process we're going through. And it's to look at ways of controlling the air quality in New Milford Township through the legal statutory provisions that are there. That's what we're doing. So then there's a whole separate issue is, let's assume you don't go through with an ordinance. I'm not saying that, I'm just saying, let's say there was an ordinance. There's a whole permitting process that occurs for the incinerator through DEP. And to answer your question about when do you get to voice your concern, you can do so at public meetings that are required through the permitting process. That's separate and apart from anything we're doing here. So you can tell DEP what you think, and at these public meetings, that's your time to voice it.
But we're going to have to, I feel, but we do have to draft some kind of an ordinance. Like you say, we can go above and beyond. Listen, right now, I just read an article, we don't even know if cell phones in 10 years are going to affect our children and grandchildren. That hasn't even been ruled out. You put this incinerator in and say, oh, 15 years from now,
Well,
poor children have to grow up here.
The
and
township
grandchildren.
isn't putting, just so you know, the township isn't putting the incinerator.
I'm not
right?
against the township, but once this big business comes in and gets their foot in the door, it's not going to be that easy. We'll see. We'll see.
Right.
I feel bad for the people who live there. I
11 years, that's why I moved here.
Hey, your name, sir?
Dave Clark, I live out on 492 in Oakland Township.
Okay.
My question is, why don't they burn it where they make it?
Right.
Why do they have to haul it here? Is it that poison people are...
Precisely.
They're not expendable, they got more money than we do? Why don't they burn it where they make it?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I don't have the answer to that. I don't have the answer to that. No,
We do. We're
That is the answer.
Well, let me, sir, let me ask you this. Why are you asking us that question in the first place?
Because I think you should be asking them that question.
Sir, we are the township. We don't ask those type of questions of individuals. We'll go through the legal process. That's just the way it goes. But we
Our
understand
leaders here
what,
should be asking them that question.
that's fine. We understand the issues. We understand the concerns of the residents and beyond the residents of Milford Township. We understand all of that.
If it's not toxic, it's not gonna hurt the environment. Let them put the incinerator right up near the plant where they got the toxic waste coming from.
Right, we're all
Simple
people,
as that.
yeah, we're all people.
Yeah. They're making the money on it, they're gonna make the money off of this, and then we're gonna pay the price.
Thank you.
We should deny them access
I'm
from,
sorry, your name and where do you...
Paul Kelly, and I live about a quarter mile from the incinerator. Can you deny them access, and they plan on putting these roads into the incinerator? Looking at their plans, they want to put it back into the woods where my property is, and they want to put it there, and then the roads going into there. Can you deny them access?
That's it. Yeah.
I think they want to come off of Jennings Road.
So the answer is we don't know what the circumstances are that eventually will be proposed.
Yeah,
I mean, there's nothing that's being proposed.
Right, on their plans, you look at their plans and it
Oh, you
shows
have
two
plans?
roads. It shows two roads going in that way.
Yeah, we're unaware of the plans. Where did you find the plans?
Tyler Corners.
Okay, where, on their website?
Yeah.
Okay, we'll take a look at it, but we don't, that's also a legal question as to whether or not we can deny it. I don't think there's a simple
And
answer.
where they're planning on putting this plant, right below that is all the water, underground streams that carry all the water into our lake, our freshwater lake. I don't see how they can even plan on building something there. It's, you know, it's unbelievable. Something should be done. Something should be done right away. It's ridiculous.
First, I think it's great that all these people come out to the township meeting. I just wanted to say on behalf of this township supervisors that this has been something that's been dumped on their lap. This went from the county commissioners saying they had no responsibility, it was up to the township supervisors. The county commissioners, if you live in the county, that's where you need to go and speak. This happens to be a meeting that township residents can talk at. Unfortunately, and because of the topic, that they need to limit the time, only people that live in the township can speak at these meetings. But if you live in Susquehanna County, you should be going to the commissioners. You should be going to the commissioners' meetings. Because it's Alan Hall who knew about this for months. It's Alan Hall who met with representatives from Tyler Corners to discuss an incinerator coming in. These township supervisors are to put an air ordinance in. I agree with them 100%. This is not an easy thing to do. They take meetings in the community because the community is outraged. I live here. My children live here. I want my grandchildren to be here. That's 4 generations in this county, and I don't want to move. I'm not too far from the incinerator. I don't want to move, and I also don't want to be poisoned. The township supervisors and the attorney for the township, they live here, their families live here. They have the same agenda that we do. So yes, I agree. This town is outraged, this community is outraged, but I believe, and it's only my opinion, and I'm not an expert, I'm not a lawyer, but I believe that this group of people sitting in front of us are doing what they need to do. Is it easy? No. And hopefully they put all of their time to this and nothing else to get this done as soon as possible prior to Tyler Corners investing too much money that this comes in. But the truth is, we need to be at the commissioners' meetings. Because if we get this township to put an air ordinance in, and I hope and pray that we do, and I hope and pray that it stands up, nothing's going to prevent Tyler Corners from going to Leonard's, to going to 2 towns down. How to stop this is through the county commissioners. The township supervisors are doing everything they can. The township commissioners have way bigger budget than they do. So I get the frustration, but I think that they're working with us, and I want to thank them for it. And I also understand why people are, if they're getting new into this, start looking online. Start asking your neighbors who know what's going on, who have been talking about this, and do whatever you can do to stop it. I agree with you. The more people that come, and by us being here and showing this many people, we're showing the township supervisors that it's important to us. If they know it's important to us, I think it's going to be important to them.
Lisa, you know when the thank you.
All of the meetings online, if you go to Susquehanna County webpage, they give you all when the commissioners' meetings are on, when the commissioners' meetings, when they hold their meetings, and also when your townships hold the meetings. There's a resolution on that table from a township urging this township and the commissioners to put in a clean air ordinance. Go to your townships. Go to your township meetings and say, sign this resolution, send this resolution to the commissioners. Because the commissioners are saying that the community doesn't want them to put an air ordinance in restricting our use. If they get 15, 20, I don't know how many townships there are in Susquehanna County.
About 40.
If they get the majority of townships telling the commissioners, do this, they cannot make that excuse that we don't want this.
You got to go to the meetings, guys.
Well, no one should be allowed to dump whatever they want on us either. Just because there isn't an ordinance doesn't mean they should poison us.
Absolutely not. No, nobody wants to poison. That's why we're here. Right?
I mean, yes. But, after the fact, it's too late.
I agree.
And the thing is, what are the ramifications if they do get in and poison us? Are they subject to any criminal charges? Are they subject,
The other half of the equation isn't just the air quality ordinance. We need to understand what regulations DEP has in place. Mr. Kelly, your property sounds like it will be directly affected.
Oh, sure.
You need to understand erosion and sedimentation control, where they plan on directing the water. It's illegal for them to put additional water on your property. You need to get educated on how you are going to be affected by what could possibly have, and act proactively beforehand and contact DEP. Find out how and when things could happen and how you will be directly affected. So it's not just about the air quality ordinance, it's about understanding about how your property is affected by the permitting process.
Another 3 mile line.
Could I take my time?
Okay.
Tony Baroni, Sutton Road. I want to express my dismay that we're really not moving out as fast as I had hoped. When Mike Ewall was at a meeting with us, when was it? May, June or so, May, quite a while ago. He said he had an ordinance which is a good model to follow. And the next month said, this is about 95% done. And now we're sending it off. He said, well, we need more lawyers to look at it. This is what distresses me, because lawyers like to complicate things. And it seems to me, they like you're laughing. Did I laugh too? And they like doing an uphill. And You know, is that where we are? We could go on forever. The ordinance may never be perfect. It seems to me there's got to be a time when we say, good enough, we got to get this in before they buy the property, before the plans are in place. Because as Mike told us from the first time he was at one of our meetings, if we get it in first, before they advance very far, we got a good chance of turning them away. And that seems smart to me. And if we wait and we lawyer this thing to death, and they buy the property and they got their plans, it's already done. Because it probably never, no matter how many lawyers look at it and scrub it, there's probably going to be holes, because I'm sure it's complicated. I think trying to hurry it through, if it's not, you can get it 99%, get it in, get it done. It's something there.
So you want me to answer something?
What planning committee reviews their plans?
What are you talking about? I'm sorry.
What planning committee reviews their plans, or where they want roads, where
I think what you're asking whether, I just want to make sure I understand. So you're saying the Tyler Corners incinerator, who reviews the plan of the Tyler Corners?
who reviews the plans?
Well-
Usually when you're gonna have something in the community, it's the board in that community that reviews the planning board.
Not yet. No, that doesn't happen. The incinerator permitting process is handled exclusively by DEP. So the whole idea of the incinerator process is DEP's.
The roads and everything.
Well, no, I don't know about the roads. I think there's a PennDOT issue there with roads. There's a township issue there with roads. I don't know. There's also. I was going to say there's also water. There's a water issue here because there's no public water. So there's going to be an issue of the water situation. There's no sewage. That's right. There's no public sewer there. So all of those things have to be vetted, and that involves different departments.
So when they go for the permit, they go and they talk to the DEP. The DEP does what? There's people there during that meeting to say they don't want it, or how does that work?
I don't think it's that simple. From everything that I'm hearing, the permit process is a multi-year process, and it involves a significant investment of time by DEP to vet the plan of that. So and then it involves at least one and maybe more public meetings in this township so that the people can voice their feelings about it and concerns. To answer your question, there are a multitude of different people and their organizations that look into that process.
It just feels like that, you're supposed to keep your enemies closer. It just feels like we ought to know when the land gets sold, county records. We ought to have this information, and we ought to be fighting it.
Yeah, I mean, the information that we continuously receive, and, we have our different reviews ourselves, so, I mean, again, we have no knowledge that it's been sold, and anybody could actually find out. Anybody can go to the courthouse and find out.
Do you think maybe another municipality in this state or in this general area might have already drafted an ordinance?
That's a good question. It's literally uncharted territory that we're in. There have been Oakland Township.
Can we keep the chatter down?
Oakland Township passed an ordinance that I think is based off of Attorney Ewald's ordinance. That is basically centered around the crematorium that they were dealing with down there. That's like an acorn versus a mountain. It's totally separate. And if you think about that, that ordinance is being offered here to us. So we're talking about two separate.
Thing, but there's got to be, I don't say there's got to be, but there may be a place where someone else tried to put an incinerator.
Well, there has been no incinerator built in Pennsylvania ever. That DEP has, that's our understanding is that the closest incinerator is in Ohio.
There's one down by Philly right now.
It's in a dump, not of the one we're talking about.
So not the pipe work.
Correct.
Okay.
And there's another thing, in Philadelphia, there are two districts, Philadelphia and Allegheny County. They have their own, bad way of saying, mini DEP. They regulate it themselves. They have a whole department, which you can imagine, how large that is. DEP takes care of the rest of the state. So if you look at law, they're classified separately, is my understanding.
Maybe we get stuck between allowing what's already here and preventing what we don't want. In other words, we can't just say the air's got to be 100% pure. Nobody ever even exhale.
I don't think anybody could smoke it.
I mean, that's really, they get away with that because there's people here smoking already.
Right. Exactly.
Wouldn't want it. Either I would, no.
Okay, a couple more questions, we gotta wrap it up. I think we were, Pam.
Okay.
You were I'm sorry, you township,
Yes,
okay,
yes,
thank you.
yes, I know. Okay, Attorney Ewald,
Yeah.
how often are people in communication with him? And how much information is being passed? Also, my own thinking is regardless of any ordinance, it does not,
I'm gonna be the next one, but no.
it doesn't cover human failure. So no matter how grand and glorious and sophisticated this incinerator is, there will be error. There's always something that falls short. You look at Alabama right now with the oil spills, and there's always something. No matter how many inspections, no matter how much maintenance, something will fall through the cracks. And in regard to Philadelphia, there was an incinerator in Manayunk. After Manayunk became a historic site, that incinerator shut down because it would drive away people. People are finding garbage in their backyard to this day, and that thing shut down back in the 80s. And there's still stuff turning up in people's yards. Wow. And that was not even toxic waste, that was just simply municipal waste.
So to answer your question, I'm regular contact with the ministry.
Okay, so is the information, everything is just up in
Yeah, I don't agree with everything in the city laws ordinance.
Okay.
And that's the problem. And neither do a bunch of other attorneys.
Okay.
And we're trying to show it up.
But like I said, even if there's an ordinance, it does not allow for human frailty.
We can only talk about the legal aspect of the ordinance.
Our land, air, and water is all going to be affected. How are our taxes going to be affected?
Your name and
Material
Gibson,
say that again, I'm sorry.
How are our taxes going to be affected?
I'm sorry.
If this were to come about, our land, air, and water will all be affected by building of an incinerator. How will this affect our taxes?
I have no idea. In a sense, are you asking whether the creation of a... Well, I don't...
Our property value is going to go down.
And I'm not advocating one or the other, I'm just hearing things that it may increase the tax base, it may reduce the tax base for various different reasons.
How could it increase?
See if they're giving you tax breaks.
We gotta get going.
Yeah, in the 70s, when first on that property that Shager has now, an industrial, something was planted here that was industrial, and they started to build it, and it was stopped all of a sudden. And I can't get any information on that. I was just wondering if you have anything in your records that you can find out how it was stopped and what they were building, and how was it stopped?
I was too young to know.
But it was in the mid-70s,
Yeah, I was really young.
and the property was owned by Burke, B-E-R-K.
What are the ramifications for these people if they violate the ordinance? I mean, are they in criminal?
Well, why was it stopped?
Exactly, that's right.
Okay, thanks everyone.
Thank you.
We have to keep going with the meeting, so if you guys could just keep it down.
You never know.
Well, they have business, you know, township business. There's other things on the list too.
Treatment fire company.
We have other stuff. It's not over yet. Just the incinerator part.
Anybody that's not staying in the meeting, please exit so that we can conduct business. Get your conversations outside, please.
Thing we have is a subdivision for Doug Kilmer.
Are you going to table that?
No.
The subdivision?
No.
What's the subdivision for, you know?
North Norton's property, Doug Kilmer. It doesn't really say. It just says they're subdividing the property on East Lake Road.
And what do they have to approve? Asking, what do they have to approve?
No objections.
No objections, just
Okay.
send that
Yep.
sewer letter that we have to have.
East Lake Road.
We have another subdivision.
Can you say it louder? I can't hear over here, and I'm in the front row. Where is it located?
Warren Park Road.
Warren Park Road.
And what's the name of the party?
Robert and Carol Seaman.
Robert Seaman?
Mike, can you ask them to move it away from the garage?
objections, we'll just make sure we send it definitely to sewer. So we got pit testing on those.
Is there any kind of, if I, just for instance, I have 10 acres and I want to do a subdivision, is there any kind of, like, it has to be an acre, or it has to be a half an acre, or is there any kind of,
Well, is it, it depends if it's a clean green, there's rule whether or not you subdivide it, think about a clean green, you gotta watch that.
right, you have to pay the back taxes, yeah, I know that, yeah, okay.
Yeah, you have to have land large enough.
There has to be enough land to have alternate septic site.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
I think the county also requires a driveway.
Driveway permit, yeah, that's true.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Terrible, it's on the state road.
We got a notification from DEP about a heating oil. It just says a contamination, it doesn't really say whether there's a spill or a release. Anyways, there was a heating oil spill up on Stump Pond Road. This is
Oh, I didn't know.
yeah, it's a different.
I apologize, that's my fault, sorry.
They are cleaning this up, I was up on the site last week.
Oh, this is on Stump Pond Road?
Yep, DEP's got
So what happened to, I can't hear, did they clean it up?
They're in the process of cleaning it up.
Oh, homeowner, it's not Southwestern, you have a violation?
That was my
I'm
fault.
getting to that.
Oh, it's not, it's a mistake?
Yeah.
There is one for South.
There is one for Southwest, I just missed putting that one on the
Yeah.
agenda, I apologize.
So we're not going to discuss it today, Southwestern?
Yes, we are.
Oh, you are?
Got a notification from DEP and Southwest. There was a 750 gallon spill of diesel onto secondary containment. It says here, O-ring failed in a generator house. They removed the diesel and are inspecting the secondary containment. The underlying felt liner was discovered, had a small area of pad service. It was visible underneath the freshwater frac tanks located near the spill area. So they had a full-scale tear down of all equipment in the released area commenced, including rigging mats, which were washed and placed in newly installed isolated areas. Newly installed clean containment until remedial activities were complete. Containment was caught and removed for soil investigation. Investigating the soil in the secondary containment to ensure that no further remediation work was warranted. There's only isolated areas of diesel encountered in that area. It says they're still going to do further soil screening and readings conducted by companies, Leidos. I don't know if Leidos is doing the excavation to remediate all the spill and doesn't really say. This is
They're all.
it's all connected.
Location? Kramer pad.
Kramer pad,
And where is the Kramer pad? What road?
Houlihan Road.
Cool.
Where is Kramer?
Houlihan Road.
Yeah, is that-
Three Lakes Road, Houlihan Road, the dead end. Kenny, you got anything?
No, training kind of postponed for the summer. I do see those reports, so I'd seen that one on.
Okay. All right, I'll make a motion to pay the bills and adjourn the meeting.
Here, here.
Sorry. I couldn't hear anything about the Special Olympics. Did you guys decide to do
Yeah, there was a Special Olympics. Hang on.
Blue Ridge High School band Special Olympics and the Ribbon Hose Company for Fire Prevention Week.
No decide to donate to it?
Yeah, we give them $100 each. I think that's what we normally do.
That's what we normally do.
And when is Special Olympics? Do you have a date?
There were 60. I reckoned 60.
Doesn't really say where. It says Special Olympics of Pennsylvania.
The letter also says, though, it's kind of interesting, they have an anonymous donor, and whatever we donate, the donor will meet it and double it.
Oh, nice.
It's supposed to be in our county, in New Milford Township? Special Olympics?
I think it's a national.
I think it's a national.
Pennsylvania, they go, yeah.
I have a question about old business. Last 2 points about peak consumptive water use at the Skelly pad and the Innis pad. Where are those located?
Innis is up on the top of the hill.
Tingley Lake, you said?
Skelly.
If they don't know, if you call them tomorrow, I'll pull it and tell you.
Because, I mean, that's almost 5 million gallons of water a day. And do you know when the Susquehanna River Basin will make a decision on that?
They'll send me another letter. Actually, she can just. Jalen, if you want to wait just a minute when the meeting's over, we have a big map on the wall there.
Did you adjourn or what?
We did, and then they asked after.
Oh, okay, because I didn't hear it. You adjourned? Yeah, you're supposed to do something.
All right.
Good job,
You can leave them right there. That's fine.
You're welcome.